Hey everybody, this week on the show I don't have an interview, but man do I have a lot of opinions about Ring of Honor Final Battle and World Wrestling Entertainment's Tables, Ladders, and Chairs 2018. Hey, it's issue 10. You know what time it is. Hit me with that sweet, sweet intro music. It's Monday, and that means it's time for a month of Mondays. From Ring of Honor to WWE, from New Japan to Impact and Lucha Underground. A month of Mondays is the Wrestling Magazine Podcast. I'm your host, Gabe Giannis. Let's get on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome to issue 10 of a month of Mondays. This week on the show, I do not have a guest, but I will be talking with you. I mean, obviously my weekend wrestling was very similar to a lot of you guys' weekend wrestling. I watched Raw and I watched SmackDown, but most importantly this weekend I watched Final Battle 2018 and TLC 2018. Basically, I got a lot of notes. I'm going to try to refer to them without looking away from the camera too horribly much. But this episode of A Month of Mondays is just going to be about that. It's just going to be me. And honestly, I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it. Let's get on with my notes. So we started off with Kenny King and Eli Isom at Final Battle 2018. Let's be really clear that that's what we're talking about first. It happened on Friday. It was hands down, like, let's right off the bat. It was a great pay-per-view. Like, it was tons of fun. It didn't feel long. Very little of it was draggy. Diving right in. Kenny King, Eli Isom. I don't have a ton of chance. Kenny King plays the heel perfectly. Isom looks strong coming out of it, even with a loss. Like, it was a good opening match. The crowd was really, really hyped for it. But that was followed up immediately by Jeff Cobb and Adam Page for the TV title. If the crowd was stoked to see Kenny King, they were even more hyped about both Cobb and Page. First off, I gotta say, Adam Page posted his horse shirt on Twitter, and I didn't see it in context with anything else. So for a few minutes, I was very confused about Adam Page and his horse shirt. But then I realized, oh, it goes in conjunction with all the other Elite shirts where Marty Scurll is a Raven and Cody, the American Nightmare, has his dog, and the Young Bucks shirt is like a buck. And so in context, oh yeah, they're all animals. I get it now, but still, horse seems weird, but it's funny. The crowd was super, super hot for this match. Cobb is crazy. Like, he is that particular brand of big guy that I really like watching, where he has the ability to do insane things like a corkscrew uppercut while also being just a tank of a man. There was a yay boo spot where it seemed like the crowd wasn't sure who should be yayed and who should be booed, but they finally settled on saying yay when Page hit somebody and boo when Cobb hit somebody. It took them a few slaps to get there, though. I thought that was pretty funny. In general, just a really, really good match. It's the second match of the show, and they were getting a "This is awesome" chant, if that tells you anything. Cobb finishes with 2 of his Tour of the Islands, which I have in my notes say that will be a tongue twister, and it is 2 Tour of the Islands. And man, both of them looked amazing. Cobb retains his TV title. Obviously, they're not going to be giving titles away to members of the Elite this weekend because those guys are pretty much all going away. So, next up was Sumi Sakai versus Karen Q versus Kelly Klein versus Madison Rayne. 4-way dance for the Women of Honor title. This match, the crowd went dead for some reason. It was really weird. They were super, super hyped for Cobb and Page, and then as soon as the women came out, the place just, and that was weird. They had Mandy Leone as a guest commentator. And like the WWE, they were pushing how historic the match is, which I know is really frustrating for some people, but it is nice to point out that, you know, before now, this kind of stuff wasn't as prevalent in wrestling. But I mean, they want everything they want to say is historic. It's a first, it's a this, it's a that. But largely, it's not. Like, a lot of this stuff has been done in the past, but it is nice to see this kind of thing becoming more prevalent. Unfortunately, the crowd wasn't as into this, but they do use it as an elimination style match, which gives all four wrestlers a really good chance to get out there, show off their skill, look really good. Kelly Klein beat Sumi Sakai in the very end. She did her Super K, went for the pin, didn't get it, took it up to the second rope and gave her what was put over on commentary as a Super K. So I thought that was pretty funny for some reason, but looked good. They looked really great. But like I said, the crowd wasn't super into this match, and that bums me out, but it is what it is. Next up was Jonathan Gresham versus Zack Sabre Jr. Lots of streamers for Zack Sabre Jr. Like, this guy is super over. He's fun to watch. You know, there's this mentality that the modern wrestling fan isn't super interested in old school style wrestling, but this match puts that to bed for me. Both of these guys just super tentacle. Get it? Because Gresham's the octopus. Anyways, both these guys are super technical wrestlers. They were really tight. They were really aggressive with each other, moving from spot to spot and hold to hold in like this really cool way that you can only get with a super talented and technical wrestler. And that is a very old school style of wrestling. You know, when I talked to the people from WOS way back in issue 4, maybe even 3, but they talked a lot about the graps, like this grappling technique that you see a lot of the British wrestlers use, like Zack Sabre Jr. But Gresham also is really good at it. The crowd was so into this match. So you can't tell me that people don't love that old school style of wrestling. They still do. It's just they want to see that and other stuff. And this match provided that, and then the rest of Final Battle provided the other stuff. But this was a great technical match. All the way until the end, Zack Sabre Jr. basically won with his bridging pin that looks awesome and, I mean, just like devastatingly humiliating, but really good. And he taunted Gresham all the way out of the ring. Really fun match. Next up was Matt Taven versus Dalton Castle for the fake Ring of Honor title. So the plot line of this is that Dalton Castle got injured, and Matt Taven beat him when he was injured, so he technically didn't win the belt, but because he beat Dalton Castle, he is now claiming that he is the rightful Ring of Honor heavyweight champion. I think is how that all got put together in my brain. But so he has a fake belt is the reality. You know, he's not the Ring of Honor champion, but he claims he is. He carts around this fake belt that he had made. It's a pretty funny idea. Dalton Castle, also a really great character. He's kind of like if you took an Exotico and mixed him with Nacho Libre. He's hilarious, but he's also like a really good in-ring worker. Hopefully this doesn't make a bunch of popping noises. I moved this wire. But anyways, this match was really good. You can tell that Castle still is working through some injury and stuff like that, but the match itself was fun. Gonna cut this little bit of dead air out. The boys, when they are here, let's actually make a cut. So one of my favorite things is obviously his valets. The boys are really funny. It's entertaining to watch them when they're fanning him and stuff like that. Dalton Castle, that is. Taven works hard on his back and hamstring, and it even makes me wince. Like, it wasn't really fun. But the boys getting drug under the ring right after a belt smash happens, but as they're getting drug under, they're literally like, ah! And it was hilarious. The match was well executed comedy wrestling while also still looking serious and hard hitting. But in the end, Taven retains his fake belt. So there is that. Next up, Christopher Daniels versus Marty Scurll. Christopher Daniels, the storyline here is that if he wins this, he is in a good spot for contract negotiations to re-sign with Ring of Honor. There's a lot of speculation that Daniels is going to be going with Cody and the Young Bucks when they put together the new promotion / do whatever it is that they're going to do, because they act like they're not doing that, but everybody thinks they're doing that. Putting Christopher Daniels in this position basically gives him a way to bow out of something that he's been a part of for a very, very long time. And it also gives the opportunity to Marty Scurll, whose contract is not up at the same time as everybody else and will be in Ring of Honor for a little bit longer, to, have a plot line within Ring of Honor that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like a go home match, or like a loser leaves town match, but without a very specific gimmick like that. It's like that, but light. In general, the match is awesome. Scurll's pat to the head is a great heel move of the young guy getting over on the old guy. I thought that was a really fun little touch. Daniel's comeback with an Arabian moonsault is great, but right into Scurll getting a superplex. The whole time, there's this fan screaming at Scurll from the audience that he's an asshole. I thought that was really funny. And it's also the first time, so through the whole pay-per-view, there's this blonde lady sitting in the front row looking super, super bored. And she actually gives Marty a golf clap at this point. So I thought that was interesting. That comes back to haunt us later. A blue thunder bomb from Daniels from totally out of nowhere looked amazing. It just kind of happened, and the way the commentators just say, "Oh, it's a blue thunder bomb," and then the next move is happening. It's pretty awesome. Scurll apes the Undertaker and does a tombstone and does the chest cross and pushes down and the tongue out and everything. That was a lot of fun, and the kick out led immediately to a finger breaker because he already had his hands in his hands. Christopher Daniels gives Scurll the angel's wings. Scurll kicks out of it, and then Scurll stomps on the back of Daniels' neck, and commentary puts over how great of a career Christopher Daniels has had. And as soon as they start speaking past tense about Christopher Daniels, Scurll goes for a finisher, gets the pin, wins. And that's the end of the match. I thought it was interesting that they kind of foreshadowed a little too much, right at the end, that, wow, Christopher Daniels used to be great. Oh, and now he's getting pinned. So it was interesting. It was a really good match. The storytelling was really good. Marty Scurll is awesome. And Christopher Daniels will be a huge asset to the Elite, going forward if he goes with them. So after that, this next thing was absolutely my favorite thing on the show. Bully Ray versus Flip Gordon is a blood feud at its finest. The story behind this, obviously, is that Bully Ray thinks that guys like Flip Gordon haven't earned their place in wrestling. And he challenges, basically they have proxies and the proxies wrestle each other, and whoever's proxy wins, then the other guy gets to do whatever they want to the other dude. Kind of a weird setup, but in the end, Bully wins and he gets to cane Flip Gordon 10 times with the kendo stick, aka Singapore cane, because these guys are ECW originals, and of course Sandman, Singapore cane, blah blah blah. So during that bit, Flip takes the cane over and over and over again, and Bully leans over him and he's like, if you say I quit, I'll stop now. He doesn't say I quit. He says, fuck you or whatever. I gotta remember to put explicits on these, but uh, he tells him no. He's like, I'm not gonna quit, etc. And then challenges Bully later, a couple weeks later, to an I Quit match, which is what this is. So with that build up, everything is crazy. Okay, streamers are going in, Flip's coming down, Bully's already in the ring. Flip goes for a crossbody as streamers are still flying into the ring, and the match goes bonkers. My notes are nuts for this. Flip throws the chair at Bully Ray and gives him the RVD kick to the face, and the crowd immediately starts chanting ECW. There were rubber trash cans at ringside, which I thought was funny because it's just way less intimidating watching Bully Ray smash a rubber trash can over over Flip Gordon's head. Bully's yelling at the ringside crew. The ref gets in his face. He takes a bump. Daniel protects Flip from the kendo stick. Flip is bleeding all of a sudden after getting kind of thrown onto a table that doesn't break. Then the girl that hasn't been responding in the crowd gets pulled over the barricade by Bully, and Bully's going to powerbomb her like Dudley Boy style through this table, and Flip is like begging him off. No, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I don't know if that's like his girlfriend. I assume it is, but that was crazy that this girl that through the whole show I've been like, wow, she is not responding to anything, is a part of this match. It gets crazy. Silken comes up behind Bully Ray and smacks him with the kendo stick to break up like that really tense situation. Bully gets into the ring. Flip jumps into the ring with a kendo stick that has a flag on it because he's all America, because he's, was in the army and all that. Then Silas Young breaks it up. Flip is bleeding all over the place, and then Cheeseburger interferes, and Silas kicks the crap out of him. Silas starts putting lighter fluid all over a table like he's going to light it up. Then Colt Cabana says, I've had enough, comes out of the commentary position, grabs a chair, smacks Silas. He's going crazy. Colt Cabana takes a nut shot. They're about to light the table on fire, and then the lights go out. When the lights come back on, there's Sandman in the corner with a kendo stick holding a beer. The whole crowd starts chanting ECW. Everything goes absolutely apeshit. Flip ramps up with Sandman and the beers and whatnot, and Sandman literally like passes the torch of the kendo stick to him. Flip Gordon has 2 kendo sticks, just starts wailing on the back of Bully Ray. The ref is in there. Bully, do you quit? Do you quit? And he does, I quit. And it was amazing. It was like watching those early ECWs where things start going absolutely apeshit, and you're like, what is happening right now? It was so much fun. It's awesome watching Flip and Bully go head to head with each other. I can't wait to see what other kind of stuff they do with some of those old like hardcore icons. I'd love to see some cool stuff with Tommy Dreamer or like Jerry Lynn, or I mean, it was awesome. There was so much great stuff that happened, and a lot of it was done in such a way that it looked intense, it looked amazing, but it couldn't have been that unsafe. The fact that the table, it got teased for light up but never actually got lit says a whole lot about how these guys were working this match. But that did not take away from my enjoyment of it whatsoever. This was an absolutely phenomenal match, and I loved every minute of it. Favorite match of the show, by far. After that was Cody versus Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor Heavyweight Championship. This was just like a really good match. Like, it was a solid match, but you could tell that Cody's heart wasn't really like super in this. He didn't wrestle with the same kind of like vigor and intensity that I really feel like he normally wrestles with. It was good though. Lethal worked Cody's knee a ton. Cody ends up playing possum with his knee for a minute. where he's down and he stays down and he's like holding his knee and the ref keeps crouching over him, and then all of a sudden he bounces up, gives Lethal a pop, and then he's like literally jogs around the outside of the ring with like Brandy taunting the rest of the crowd. It's a lot of fun. Brandy does a lot of distracting in this. At one point, she spears Jay Lethal while the ref is distracted, and that looked awesome. Like, she hit him with a ton of force, and he sold it like crazy, so that it looked like genuinely like a Goldberg level spear. It was really, really cool. But then she goes to spear him again and misses, hitting Cody. Todd Sinclair, the ref, goes to DQ him, but Lethal wants the match to go on. He like demands that they keep going with the match. Hangman Page rings the bell randomly as a distraction. Lethal goes through the ropes, doing suicide dives on Cody 5 times. And on the 6th one, Cody finally counters. But Lethal gets him in the leg lock, and Cody taps out. There's this weird, like, sort of code of honor moment where Lethal is like standing over Cody and Cody's kind of not responding, and Lethal just kind of grabs his hand, gives it a shake, and throws it down. I thought that was pretty funny. Then all of a sudden Marty Scurll comes out and he's eyeballing the belt. He's like, yep, I'm next in line for that. But as Marty Scurll's eyeballing the belt, out walks, I kid you not, Nick Aldis, NWA heavyweight champion, with Camilla, I believe is her name, his insurance policy, as it were, holding the belt for him. He's at the top of the ramp and he slow collapses. The real world champion approves of this match. So hopefully that means we get to see some NWA shenanigans in Ring of Honor. I would be really, really excited about that because I love everything that NWA is doing. And I would be really stoked to watch Jay Lethal versus Nick Aldis for the NWA Championship. After that was SoCal Uncensored, Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian versus the Briscoes versus the Young Bucks. So, I didn't take many notes on this because I was too busy watching this absolute fucking crazy ass match. So, the Briscoes are nuts and they will do anything. Literally watch one of them take a bite out of somebody. SoCal Uncensored, seriously top-notch wrestlers. Kazarian looked phenomenal like through the entire match. The Young Bucks, much like Cody, did not seem to have their heart in this, and they didn't do nearly the amount of high spots that you would expect them to do in a match like this. This match was balls to the wall, though. Within moments, Kazarian and both of the Briscoes are like gushers of blood. At one point, Jay Briscoe has like the whole face mask going. It's absolutely crazy. This match just went and went and went at 1,000 miles an hour the entire time. When I say the Young Bucks weren't like fully into this, like 80% of the Young Bucks is 130% of most other tag teams. Their spots were great. The Briscoes were great. SoCal Uncensored was great. But in the end, it went out to the brutal and intense and dominating Briscoes to make them the 10-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. This show is all about putting over Jay Lethal, who has been with Ring of Honor forever, putting over the Briscoes, who have been with Ring of Honor forever, taking people that are up and coming within the Ring of Honor system, like Karen Q, like Eli Isom, and saying, Ring of Honor has a legacy, and even though these guys have been an important part of Ring of Honor for the last few years, losing the Elite doesn't mean Ring of Honor is done. And I think that's an important message for Ring of Honor to say. I hope that when the Elite get their stuff going and All Elite becomes a thing, that they continue to work with Ring of Honor, because I can see them doing amazing stuff. And the addition of the NWA, that doesn't hurt, because that means some Josephus, that means some Nick Aldis, that means some Elias, that means some Jack Swagger. Like, there's a lot of great talent that Willie Mack, one of my favorite freaking wrestlers from Lucha Underground. There's a ton of really good stuff happening out there in the independent scene. But when we come back, because I'm going to take a little break, what do you think? Do you think I'm going to like TLC anywhere near as much as Final Battle? We'll see. We'll see. No, I'm not. But that's okay. I still enjoyed it a ton. Be right back. All right, I'm back. So, already running a little bit long. Well, not really, now that I think about it, because intros. Yeah, I'm bad at math. Anyways, keeping going. So, I'm going to gloss over the TLC pre-show. Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy for the Cruiserweight Championship. It was a great match. They're great. This is my once a month tell myself I should watch 205 Live more, and then I don't. I don't know why. Probably because time. I mean, there's just so much WWE content that sometimes I just don't. And sometimes I just want to watch Progress or WXW or like Ring of Honor or Impact or literally anything else. Because sometimes Raw has been the way it has been for like the last month. And that makes me want to freaking punch myself in the testicles because it's awful. But that's okay. 205 Live. You should check it out. I should check it out because these guys always put on a stellar show, and Mustafa Ali versus Daniel Bryan on SmackDown this week was fucking awesome. So, also, reminder, put the E in and maybe say something at the beginning. Anyways, so, Elias is now a pre-show gimmick, and that bugs me because he's super, super over, and his guitar thing is really fun. I enjoy what he does with that, and his in-ring work is getting better by leaps and bounds literally every match he has. Combining him with Bobby Lashley, who is hands down the most annoying thing on the roster right now. I know that's kind of the idea, is that he's supposed to be annoying, but he's the wrong kind of annoying. Like, The Miz is annoying, but it's funny and it's entertaining. Bobby Lashley is the kind of annoying where you're like, no, really, I dislike this. I don't want to watch it anymore. Why are you showing me your ass? Like, it's stupid. I hate it. It went from like, get the guitar down, you can use it as a weapon, to once you detach the guitar, you win. So Elias technically wins, but of course, Leo Rush and Bobby Lashley get a hold of the guitar and beat the crap out of Elias. It's dumb, and we'll probably have to see more of it on Raw. So anyway, moving on. Main show, Michael Cole introduces the show as Human Demolition Derby, which I thought was funny. The first match is the last match of this season of Mixed Match Challenge, which I hate saying. Much like rumbling rumors. Sorry, Gordon. I could never say that right. I don't know why. But anyways, so this was Alicia Fox and Jinder Mahal versus R-Truth and Carmella. Going into this, everybody was 100% certain that R-Truth and Carmella would be winning. They did. There was a dance break. The Singh brothers danced too. This was super dumb. And at the very beginning of the match, they announced, this is on Facebook Live right now for free. So this is also just a pre-show match that happens to technically be on the main card. I thought that was kind of weird. If you want to do free stuff on Facebook Watch, why not just put the whole pre-show on there? How it makes me feel. Like, that's how Mixed Match Challenge makes me feel. The end was kind of funny, where R-Truth announced to Carmella that their fabulous vacation would be to the WWE headquarters. I assume that means we're going to get to see video of them being dorks. So, there's that. Next up was New Day versus Usos versus The Bar for the SmackDown Tag Team title. It feels like I've been watching these guys all wrestle each other for a whole year. I like all three tag teams. I like how all three tag teams work with each other and against each other, but I just want to see different stuff sometimes. And I don't mind this match. It was a lot of fun, even though it didn't have a TLC stipulation of any sort. There was no table part, there's no ladders, there's no chair, and I feel like these three tag teams would be best suited for that sort of stuff. It did have really, it had the triple threat tag team rules where only two people could be in the ring at the same time. By the end, all the tagging in and out was so ridiculously weird and confusing that I don't think the legal man pinned the legal man. I think just two people pinned, like a guy pinned another guy, and I don't think the legality of his tag in or out had anything to do with reality. Like, it was very confusing. I think it kind of held the match back, and then the bar also retained, which I was just kind of cool. They still have the belt. I'm not as hot for this as I think I would have been 6 months ago. I love watching the Usos wrestle. I want to watch them to start. I want to start watching them wrestle other tag teams. It'll be interesting to see going into Royal Rumble what kind of things happen if maybe people move. Because right now, Raw seems like it has too many tag teams, and SmackDown seems like it doesn't have enough or is like underutilizing some of them. I know Sanity is on SmackDown, and they haven't really shown up at all. I know the Bludgeon Brothers have an injury going on, so there's that. I don't know. It's just weird. It was a good match, but it wasn't great, and that's strange for these three tag teams. So there was that. Next up was Braun Strowman versus Baron Corbin. This was the whole, will he show up, won't he show up? If Baron Corbin loses, he's no longer SmackDown's general manager, acting general manager. If Braun Strowman wins, he earns a title match against Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. The idea is, will Braun show up? And everybody knew he was going to show up in some capacity. I feel like what the real curiosity is, what will actually happen. So he comes out immediately and says, hey, if this is a TLC match, that means it's no disqualifications. And that means I can have all the help I want. So Apollo Crews comes out, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable come out, Finn Balor's out there. They all have chairs. They all go to whip the crap out of Baron Corbin. And as he's like running out of the ring, Kurt Angle's music hits. Kurt Angle wails on him with a chair. All the guys all do their finishers to him. He's laid out on the ground, and Braun Strowman puts the one boot on top of him. 1, 2, 3. Match over. The reign of Baron Corbin is done. I liked him as a general manager. I thought what he was doing was really funny. I thought, it got a little heel heavy for a few weeks where it was just so obnoxiously, oh, the heels do whatever they want, blah, 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 blah. With no back and forth, with no tension to build the story, then the stories end up feeling kind of pointless. That isn't on Baron Corbin, though. Like, that's on, a team of writers. Baron Corbin's doing his best with what he's got, and he was hilarious as acting general manager. It'll be interesting to see who the general manager is on Monday. Obviously Vince has talked about how he's going to be there technically today, but, haven't watched it yet. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that storyline. I'm excited to watch Strowman take on Lesnar. Hopefully he takes the belt from him, because it'd be nice to see the Universal belt on TV every once in a while. Next up was Natalya versus Ruby Riott. This had a weird social media build-up where Ruby kept, talking about how Natty's always name-dropping her dad and the Hart Foundation and all that stuff. It's weird. My wife hates it. Mel thinks it's really tasteless. I don't really care. Like for me, it's just one of those matches where I'm just like, yeah, this is happening. I mean, it was a good match. Natalya looked awesome. She kicked the crap out of the entire Riot Squad, which makes them totally pointless right now. They should definitely break up as a team, because they're not super great at, taking care of each other for the most part. Obviously in the end, Natalya won this because it's a way for her to kind of show her love and appreciation for her father who's passed away. You know, it's kind of a cool send off to somebody to tell a story using their name, you know, so that even though he's passed on, you know, his story in wrestling continues, and that's kind of a cool idea to me. Like I said, my wife really doesn't like it. The whole gimmick with the pictures of people on tables was super dopey, but it was a great match. Natalia looks super, super tough. Like, you know, it'll be interesting to see what they do with her coming out of it. I know, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I know that there were at some point plans for her to turn heel and fight Ronda, but I don't think that's going to happen with what happens a little bit later on. So, moving on, Drew McIntyre versus Finn Balor. Drew starts out the match just completely running over Finn Balor, who makes a comeback. There's this speed differential where, you know, Drew is super methodical, where Finn is trying to speed everything up. No matter what speed they're moving at, both guys look awesome, like in the ring. They just are great technical wrestlers, really crisp moves. Like nothing looked horrible. Like it all looked really, really great. One guy in the crowd did yell at Drew at one point, "Go back to Impact." I thought that was pretty hilarious. At the end, Dolph interferes in the match because he's kind of sick and tired of Drew McIntyre. That gives Finn the opportunity to take some advantage. He basically kind of half RVDs a chair into Drew, does the coup de grace for the win, and that's kind of the end of the match. It was good. It was Finn Balor being a great wrestler, Drew McIntyre being a great wrestler, with a storyline that's, you know, basically non-existent and like almost no stakes. So while the match was really good and really fun to watch, you know, at the end of the day, you're just kind of left with a, oh, okay, cool. I can't wait to see what, please do something with Finn. Like, give him a story. The guy deserves it. He's great. After that is another match that feels the same way. Orton versus Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio has to work down to Randy Orton's speed. I feel a lot of the time. And as a consequence, Rey Mysterio looks like he's going half speed too. This was a super plotting match to me. Like I had a really hard time staying interested in this one. They made sure that you knew it was a chairs match by setting up chairs all around the ring. It looked really weird. There was a moment where Rey Mysterio does his like little like slidey thing, but he used a chair as like a boogie board and just like pancaked the chair onto Randy Orton. That looked awesome. You know, even when Rey Mysterio doesn't seem like he's at 100%, Rey Mysterio is still better than like a billion other wrestlers. He was really, really fun to watch, but there was no connection, and there's no reason for me to root for either guy other than you guys both are great wrestlers. I'm not a huge Randy Orton fan anyways, but Rey Mysterio I love, and so I'm rooting for Rey Mysterio just because I really like him. And that's a nothing, like, because the guy sitting next to me could be rooting for Randy Orton because he really likes him. Like, other than that, there's no real stakes to the match itself. It just seemed really drawn out. The setup, anytime they set up furniture, they took forever at it. At one point, Randy is setting up 4 chairs to do an RKO to Rey Mysterio, and he literally like decides that he doesn't like the placement of one chair and switches them. And it's dumb because it's just telegraphing this. I've taken so long to set up these 4 chairs that in reality take 5 seconds to set up, that Rey Mysterio has recovered, and it backfires. And so I didn't even write down who won, but I'm pretty sure Rey Mysterio won. Yeah, that's how not excited I was by this match. Literally, one of my notes is when Orton has control, the match drags with several A's. So, next up was Nia Jax, or Nia Jax, depending on which podcast you listen to, versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's title. Nia Jax came out, and like, whereas 3 weeks ago she was just getting the hottest of hot boos, Like, she has squandered all of that heat on terrible in-ring promos over the last few weeks. Her just screaming nonsensically into the camera is not intimidating or interesting. Like, they should give her a manager and take the mic away from her. But that's neither here nor there. The match was good. It was just totally speed versus power. Like, can Ronda Rousey overcome Nia Jax's power using her speed and technique? It was really well told in ring. My note right here says two okay workers in ring that shouldn't get much mic time. Jax doesn't sell flippy stuff very well. Like, when somebody flips onto her or like does a move, like, she sells it kind of ham-fistedly. But Ronda sells things really well. So when Nia Jax like delivers a huge blow or tosses her across the ring, like, Ronda looks really good selling that. There were a couple spots where Ronda went up to the top rope and did like cross bodies. She did one crossbody where Jax caught her and it turned into a Samoan drop into a near pinfall that was really, really great. But they've been giving Ronda more stuff to do that's a little bit more high risk, a little less of the MMA style, and a little more pro wrestling. And that's a really good idea. Like, diversifying like her skill set in ring is smart. Like, she's not always the best on the mic, but she always looks like a badass when she's wrestling. Of course, she ends up beating Nia Jax and retaining the belt. And then a few minutes later in a backstage segment, Jax is spoken to quite curtly by Becky Lynch, who says, "Keep my name out of your mouth," and pops her one right in the face. So there's like this tension build up right there that is a lot of fun, based all around reality, where Nia Jax broke her nose and gave her a concussion. So this match felt a little bit less like an opportunity for Jax and a little bit more like a punishment. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Good way to wrap all that up. Next up was the new Daniel Bryan. I hate that they say the new in front of his name literally every single time right now. We get it. He's different. Show, don't tell. It's as simple as that. He's a great heel. He does not need you to remind me that he's the new Daniel Bryan every single time you say his name. It's obnoxious as hell. And then, of course, AJ Styles, who is the same AJ Styles. I wasn't super hyped for this match. I should be. I don't know why I wasn't. They're both amazing. And then when they get in there, they were given tons of time, and man, they stole every moment out of it. Great move. Whew. Sorry, that time of day. I don't know why I yawned right there. Great move after great move after great move. It was so much fun to watch. Like, this was a really, really good match. And I thought to myself, oh man, and after this is Seth versus Dean. This is going to be amazing. The crowd is chanting, "This is awesome." Bryan gets this mega calf crusher from Styles. Like, it looks like he's going to tear his leg off. When Bryan counters out of it, it looks crazy. It's awesome. He squeaks out a win with an inside cradle. So he neither guy goes over super strong. They both looked great. And Bryan's win is a just barely win. This was awesome. It was really fun to watch, and I was super excited to watch Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose right after this. And man, what a disappointment. This is definitely the worst match of the night. It was slow. It was plodding. It was literally do a move, stop and stare at each other. Do a move, stop and stare at each other. At no point did this match feel like it kicked into any kind of higher gear. And what was worse is the first third of the match, you couldn't even focus what was happening on ring because it was just Corey Graves and Renee Young bickering with each other. It was so dumb. we get it. Renee is married to Dean. She doesn't want to talk about it because that plot line is ridiculous. Stop it. Like, stop trying to push this on us unless you're going to give Renee a heel turn and turn Corey Graves into the face like commentator. Unless you're going to make that abrupt shift, just stop with this. It's obnoxious. Like, it's almost as bad as the new Daniel Bryan. I couldn't stand it. This match was not good. Like, I mean, it was good. Technically, it was fine, but it was just not entertaining. It didn't keep the momentum of the show going. Like, the show felt like it was crescendoing with Bryan and AJ, and then it was going to go into Seth and Dean, and then the main event, the triple threat match, and it just went, and then it had to like build back up. But that build up was instantaneous. Asuka walks in, crowd pops. Charlotte walks in, crowd pops. Becky Lynch walks in, crowd goes bonkers. Like, it was amazing. They were on top of it from go. Furniture everywhere. Crazy spots. At one point, Charlotte takes a powerbomb to the table, but it breaks like on the lower half instead of the middle. It looks absolutely brutal. She speared Asuka at one point into the barricade, and just, it looked like it absolutely clobbered her. She did like a senton that looked like a half a roll because she was so freaking exhausted. She was on Charlotte's on the announcer's table, and with Asuka, and Becky goes to jump onto them. Asuka rolls off. Becky lands right on Charlotte, and she like just hits her, and the table doesn't give way, and it just looked brutal. Like, this match was awesome. At the very end, Lynch and Flair are at the top of the ladder. They're fighting, and out comes Ronda Rousey. She just walks up, tips over the ladder that the two of them are on. They dump off onto the floor. Ronda goes back up the ramp. Asuka sends new SmackDown Women's Champion, Asuka. Awesome. You haven't done anything with her all year. Thank God you guys figured out how to use her as an amazing talent. I am super stoked to see what she does as the champion. And now I'm even more intrigued to see what happens with Becky Lynch. Is she going to enter the Royal Rumble? The Royal Rumble, and like try to challenge Becky Lynch for the title? Does she go to Raw? Will Charlotte go to Raw? This is exciting. Like, the women's division in WWE right now is super, super exciting. I can't wait to see what they do next. Oh, man. So that was it. Final Battle 2018, TLC 2018. Both really good shows. Like, I enjoyed the crap out of both of them. I definitely enjoyed Final Battle more. It's a little bit more of my speed, a little bit more adult, mature wrestling, a little bit more intense. But man, Flair, Lynch, Asuka, phenomenal. Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles, unbelievably good match. The New Day with the Usos and the Bar, they put on a great match too. There just wasn't as much for me to love in TLC as there was in Final Battle. I mean, NWA cameo. I mean, crazy ladder war between three tag teams. I mean, anytime you get to watch Jay Lethal or Cody Rhodes wrestle is awesome to me. Same with Marty Scurll. Like, I love watching that guy wrestle. For me, the final verdict, of course, is Final Battle. I'm going to take another quick break, and we'll be wrapping up the show. I hope you enjoyed this episode, or this issue of the show. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up as quickly as I can because I know I spent a lot of time talking about Final Battle and TLC. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I like doing stuff like that. Tell me other stuff that you'd love to talk. Tell me stuff that you would love for me to talk about, and also people that you would like to hear me interview. You can contact me to talk about that kind of stuff by emailing me at momwrestlingpod@gmail.com. You can go to facebook.com/momwrestlingpod and find us on Facebook, or of course you can go to Twitter, which is probably the place I'm the most active, at Mondays Podcast. And you can find our website at mondayspod.com. Bit the bullet, bought the domain name mondayspod.com. Way easier to find than typing anything else out. You can find our daily articles there, including our Friday fights, which this week was, let me double check. Okada versus Omega, which was match of the year from the Tokyo Sports Pro Wrestling Awards, I think is what it's called. It was super, super good match. Definitely worth checking out. And our new wrestler Saturday, which was Ilya Drugunov, who wrestles in WXW. I'm probably saying his name wrong, but that's okay. Go watch that video. He is awesome. I posted a full match with him and Walter that you will love. And if you don't, that's weird. So you can find us all those different ways. mondayspod.com. Twitter at Mondays Podcast are probably the two easiest ways to find me. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, click that subscribe button and hit the little bell to get notifications. And if you're listening on a podcast, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Help us become the most amazing podcast ever / YouTube channel ever. We'd love your subscriptions. Tell us what you think. I want to hear what you have to say. And I'd love to know what kind of things you want to hear me talk about. So, with that said, I'm Gabe. This has been a month of Mondays. I'm not going to bug the Muscleman to do the outro music today because it's getting late. I'll do it myself. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you have been listening to A Month of Mondays, your weekly wrestling podcast. I have been your host, Gabe Giannis, and I just want to remind you that the opinions expressed on this show are solely those of the person speaking them and not of Baron Space Production or any other related entities. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, and review in your podcatcher or right on YouTube. Help me build the show that I hope you're loving as much as I love. Be sure to visit us at baronspace.com/momwrestlingpod or on Twitter at Mondays Podcast or right here on YouTube by looking up A Month of Mondays. A Month of Mondays has been a Baron Space production.